Italy has had many great F1 drivers in its history, from world champions Nino Farina and Alberto Ascari of the 1950s, to likes of race winner Giancarlo Fisichella and Jarno Trulli of the more recent past. But today, look at a driver who is considered one of the worst F1 drivers in the sport. Today, we're looking at the career of Giovanni Lavaggi. Now, Giovanni was born in Augusta, Sicily, on 18th of February 1958. And the first sign that he was interested in motorsport was when he studied engineering in Milan. But for him, his first foray into driving came into 1984 at the age of 26, which for racing jail, well, it's ancient really. He went to the Henry Morrow Racing School, who judged him to be the best student he ever had, which, despite his age, is still high praise. Using this inspiration, he entered the Italian Formula Panda Championship, which I've never heard of, where he finished second overall with the most wins of any driver. The next step for him was Formula 3000, but with the lack of sponsorship he decided to try his hand at the World Sports Car Championship instead in the legendary Group C era, where he raced for Porsche Kramer team with some success. But before that, after his first couple of years in sports cars, he was able to attract enough sponsors to compete in the 1991 Formula 3000 Championship and would finally be able to prove himself in single-seaters and show what he could do, or at least that was the plan anyway. There were some big names taking part that year, such as Christian Fittipaldi, Alessandro Zanardi, future world champion Damon Hill, Carl Wendlinger, Heinz-Harald Frentzen, the list goes on. That season, however, he managed only to qualify 2 of the 10 races and only finished 1, and it happened to be the last round in France in P10. Despite this failure in 2000, an F1 team saw something in Lavaggi, and that team was March, who hired him as their test driver for 1992 because they was impressed by his engineering knowledge, although it came to nothing in terms of full-time drive. After his Formula 3000 series, he returned to sports cars and immediately came second in the 1992 24-hour Le Mans 7th in class and won the 1993 Inter-Serie, winning 6 races of a total 12 and the other 4 races being on the podium. The other notable success was winning the 1995 24-hour of Daytona while driving 9 hours of that race, which is actually quite impressive. So impressive, in fact, that he finally got a shot at Formula 1. Unfortunately, he was in the worst car on the grid, the Pacific. They was running out of money and hired Lavaggi alongside Andrea Montemini. Montemini wasn't a terrible driver, and he would be a good benchmark for Lavaggi for this season to aim for, but he was on the back foot from the start. With no budget, he wasn't able to test, and the press were already questioning the decision to hire the now 35-year-old rookie who had 1 season of single-seater experience to his name, and he was really up against it. Lavaggi's first race was the German Grand Prix, where he first developed the nickname around the paddock of John Washers, as that is what his name translated to. Anyway, in qualifying, to say he didn't do a great job would probably me being nice about it. Montemini qualified with a time of 1:53.4. and Lavaggi had a 1:54.6, 1.1 off of his teammate and 10.2 off pole, and in that race it didn't get any better for him as he retired with gearbox problems. The next 3 races were a similar story with him: 2.3 seconds off Montemini in Hungary, 4 seconds off in Belgium and 1.8 off in Italy, and this was Lavaggi's season's done. He started 4 races, 4 DNFs, and although this will not be the end for Lavaggi's F1 career, as in 1996 another small team had needed a cash injection, and Lavaggi was brought into Minardi. He raced for the last 6 races of the season with teammate Pedro Lamy. Unfortunately for Lavaggi, again he was unable to test due to lack of money, and had similar issues as he did in Pacific. His first race was in Germany, where typically he failed to qualify. The next race in Hungary he did make it to the grid, although he was 1.2 seconds off his teammate. But one positive from that weekend, he managed to finish a race at a career best 10th place, although all the cars behind him did DNF. And the next race in Belgium, again he missed the cut, And while the next two races in Italy and Portugal, he did manage to make the grid and only qualify 1 second behind Pedro Lamy. He DNF'd both races. For the last race of the season and his F1 career in Japan, he also failed to qualify, and this time it was the end of Lavaggi in F1. After this race, he did continue to race in sports cars until 2009, even making his own team, Scuderia Lavaggi, in 2006, and had one last pole position in Vallelunga in 2008, aged 50. To end the video, we're going to sum up Lavaggi's career. It feels like it's a tale of two parts. On one hand, you have his sports car career, which was fairly successful, winning several decent-sized races, and was very capable in that car. And then on the other hand, you have his single-seater career, which, due to either fairly average driving or very bad cars, he was unable to replicate his sports car form. Also, his age was always against him. Being 35 when he made his F1 debut as a rookie, it's too old. He only had one season of F3000, which also hampered his career and was never destined to succeed. Now, to answer the question at the top of the video, is he the worst driver in F1 history? No, definitely not the worst driver to be in Formula 1, but my conclusion is he's definitely not on the level needed to be in Formula 1 and probably was more comfortable in the sports car series. Okay guys, thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe to the channel, and if you have any future suggestions on any other videos, put them in the comments below. And until then, I've been Nathan, and I will see you next time. Have a great day.